Hello, everybody. Welcome to, we're going to call it Rector's Roost, but in the future, we're going to have a different video altogether for these liturgy talks, these real brief liturgy explanations that we're going to be beginning this weekend, beginning with this video. Father Luke and I, maybe even William, will get in on it. We'll be providing these. Our plan is every weekend. There may be times where things just get too busy, but again, hopefully to do this formation in the liturgy. So we're excited about that. So today I'm going to keep it a little brief and really simple and really broad. And the question we're going to be kind of exploring for the next couple of minutes is simply, what is liturgy? We use that word all the time. We use that word to describe basically any kind of formal religious rite. So there's a liturgy that we refer to in the Mass. We talk about liturgy of the Eucharist, liturgy of the Word. There's also the liturgy of the hours, which is the prayers that priests and monks and religious all pray, and that you are also invited to pray if you want to get into that. We actually have an obligation, a promise to pray several of them throughout the day, which is quite a little bit of a burden. But you're also welcome. The lay people are definitely welcome to, and some of you do pray morning or evening prayer or night prayer. It's a collection of the Psalms, but that's also called the Liturgy of the Hours. Sometimes there's a liturgy of ordination. There's a liturgy for marriage. There's a liturgy for confession even. When you go to confession, you probably didn't realize it, but there's a liturgy for that. There's a rite for that. So what does liturgy mean? Liturgy, the word comes from a Greek word, liturgia. I think I'm saying that right, or liturgia. I don't know. My Greek's I don't really know any Greek, to be perfectly honest. But I think that's how I remember it was being pronounced. And what it basically means is like a public work. And that might seem a little strange, but it comes from ancient times where you had very wealthy people and you had people who were not wealthy. That was it. There wasn't really a middle class. And so the very wealthy would, as part of like a duty, would pay for things. They would perhaps like pay for a religious festival, pay for all the food, pay for everything that was needed. And they were doing this on the behalf of the people, right? So they were taking what was theirs, this gift or whatever, kind of like a sacrifice for the good of the people, for the good of the populace. They might pay for an aqueduct to provide water for people. They might pay for a play or a theater, and do these things basically again for just as a beneficiary. And so liturgia is like this thing that the wealthy class in Roman society and Greek society would do for the benefit of the people. So it was a public work. So when the early church began and the form of worship, of course, this idea, remember there was two worlds here. You had the Hellenistic Greek Roman world that mixes with the Middle Eastern Palestinian Israeli kind of world. And so these early Christians, as it begins to spread into the Latin world or the Greek world, there's this sort of synthesis that occurs, a kind of mixing. Greek philosophy and thought, tradition and culture kind of gets mixed in with the faith of Israel and Christianity and kind of becomes this new thing. The early church uses the Greek language and so on to define and have words to describe things like the person of Jesus and so on. So one of these things is this idea of liturgy then. The worship of the early church is primarily this public work. It was seen as we come together and we're offering a sacrifice. We're offering something to God. We're offering him our worship because it's what he is due as the Lord of the universe. But we also are offering a sacrifice to him just like they would do in ancient times, right? So remember, these wealthy people would pay for these religious festivals, which would probably often include some kind of sacrifice to appease the gods or to give thanks to the Lord or something like that, the way they saw it. So in the same way, the Christians' sacrifice of the Mass was seen as this public work. So that when we come to Mass, we're not coming to just simply be fed, right? We do get fed, literally and spiritually. We receive the Eucharist. But we're not coming just for our own entertainment. And this is a mistake that I think a lot of us can fall into when we come to church, is that we're coming to be entertained, right? People often will say to me, Father, great homily or whatever. And I'm like, I liked it when you made that joke. I'm glad that I'm funny sometimes in my homilies, but that's not the point of being here. If we can have a little fun with it too, that's great. But the reason we're coming to Mass is to offer sacrifice. to offer worship to God. We are coming for the benefit of the populace. We're coming here and offering this together as one body. We all come together like a choir, sings, and you hear one sound, but it's made up of multi-voices, right? Lots of voices together. We as a church gather throughout the whole world and offer this liturgy for the salvation of ourselves, for our community, and for the people who don't know the Lord, for the whole world. We're offering the sacrifice that Jesus offered on the cross. We're representing it to the Father. That's what's happening. So that's just a little intro. That's what we're doing. So I hope that this helps you kind of think already, like we're coming into Mass. What is my posture? What am I doing here? Why am I here? I'm coming to offer worship. I'm coming to do this thing for others. So when I pick up the Liturgy of the Hours, the breviary, one thing that helps me, because after a while it becomes burdensome, and they're not writing new psalms, and you pray the psalms over and over again, and sometimes it can be sort of a burden that we do. But it really helps me to realize that, no, I'm doing this. When I pick up the breviary, I'm picking up the whole church and praying. I'm praying for missionaries. I'm praying for the situation in Nicaragua. It's not just about me and whether I feel like reading these psalms or not. No, I'm doing this for the whole church, for the Holy Father, and I'm in unison with all the priests throughout the world. And everybody who's praying this Liturgy of the Hours, we're offering this to the Lord. We're offering this for the people. So, friends, this is a little bit of an intro. This is what liturgy is. Liturgia, it's public work. It's our sacrifice. It's what we're offering to God for our salvation and salvation of the world. So next week, we'll dive into more of what this all means, and we'll slowly go through all these different symbols and the deep, rich meaning of our liturgy and the Mass. And I hope that will enhance your experience when you come here to St. Thomas More. God bless you all. Take care.